Hello, and welcome to Fierce Conversations with Toby, the show where we talk about the hard things. I'm Toby Dorr. In today's episode, we will learn how we can be a beacon of hope. My guest today is Lisa Nordike, who was one of the Lisas from my book. In fact, she was the one that I called George in the book. Lisa Nordike, my dear, dear friend and former cellmate. I am so delighted to have you here. It's such an honor.
I'm tickled too.
We've come a long way, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So
through letters, we battled everything together.
we did, didn't we? And
Yes,
through
we
quilting and crafts and
Yes.
a movie night on Fridays. Yeah. It was
yeah.
just such a time. So I like to ask all my guests a question that gives us a peek into who you are. And that is, what's your favorite color? And what does that say about you?
Purple. And
Yeah, one of my favorite colors.
I know. I don't know why. I just do. My grandmother's was red, and and I look terrible in it, but I like it.
Yeah. Purple's a pretty powerful color, and it goes from all shades, clear to really pale lilac, up to a bold, dark, almost
Yeah.
black.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a lot of power in purple.
Yeah, I just that's my favorite color. I don't know why.
Yeah. I love it.
I wear a
I
lot
love
of
it.
blue, but
Yeah.
purple's my favorite color.
Yeah. I love that. So can you tell us about a crossroads in your life that pushed you in a different direction?
Prison.
Yeah, doesn't it though?
Yes, I would have never done the things I did when I got home. Never.
Mhm.
If it weren't for what I had learned and the people I had met there.
Yeah. Prison is a pretty powerful experience. And I know you and I were together for, I think, maybe about 11 months. And we became very, very close. And Lisa Montgomery, my other Lisa, was your roommate, but we were in
Yes.
the same pod.
Mhm.
And we spent so much time together just sharing everything about our lives. And you were arrested along with your husband,
Mhm.
who had worked out a deal to get you off. He was going to, take
Didn't
a deal
happen.
and get you off. No, it didn't happen because unfortunately, Bruce passed away from cancer in just a short 3 weeks. And the
18
marshals,
days
18 days from the time
from
he was
diagnosis
diagnosed
to death.
till the end. Yeah, that was pretty tough.
Yes.
And at the time, both of you had been locked up for almost a year. Is that
Well, it had
right?
been longer than that.
Longer than a year.
It had been, 2006, and he died in 2008.
Ah, so yeah,
Yes.
it was a couple years. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you didn't really get to spend time with him. You guys were separated while you were in prison. So
Yeah.
that was pretty tough. But at the end there, the marshals did have a bit of empathy and took you to the hospital
Yes.
and removed the handcuffs and let you be with Bruce at the end,
Yes.
which was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I got to hold Sam.
Yes. Yes. Your daughter, who was 6 when you went to prison.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is really tough. When they incarcerate parents and leave a child behind, that just is such a difficult thing.
And she was the youngest. The others were grown.
Mhm.
So
Yes. Yes.
it wasn't
That-
as big an impact on them as it was
Mhm.
her.
It was hard for her. And
Yeah.
I know Sam well. I remember her.
You do.
And I've seen her lately, and she's
Yes.
turned into a beautiful young woman. So
Oh, I love it.
she's just an awesome person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's going for her radiology technician degree.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, she's in nursing. Now she's a phlebotomist, a traveling phlebotomist, because it works with her school, her
Mhm.
school time. So, yeah.
That's great.
And
That's great.
Derek too.
Yes.
He's
Yes, and Derek too.
Derek went for business management, though, his degree in that, because he wants to be on the business side of nursing. He's tired
I
of wiping
yeah.
tushes, he says. Can't blame him for that.
Interesting. No, you can't blame him for that. And so,
Yeah.
how much time did you end up doing actually in prison?
8 years, 10 months, and 16 days.
Yeah, that's a long, long, long time. And
And
Bruce
when
had
you do
worked
that
out his
time,
deal.
you know it down to the day.
Down to the day. That's exactly right. Bruce had worked out a deal to get you off with time served. And then unfortunately he passed away, so he couldn't complete his end of the deal.
Mhm.
And the marshals told you somebody
Somebody had
has
to
to do the
pay.
time. Somebody
Mhm.
has to pay, and it's going to have to be you.
And
Which,
unfortunately, conspiracy, which was what I was charged with, is just knowing.
yes, yes.
Anybody they could get anybody for that. Just
Anybody that
knowing.
knows that
And
someone is
doesn't
selling
report
drugs
because
and
it's your
doesn't
civic
report
duty.
them. Right. But yet, if your husband killed someone, you couldn't be compelled to testify against him because of spousal
Right.
privilege, which
But
just doesn't make a bit of sense
but we
at all.
weren't married when we got
I know,
arrested. Yeah.
but still, the point is, even if you had been,
Yeah.
y- you shouldn't have had to testify against your father of your children when you were
Right.
trying to get him to quit. So
Oh, yeah. That's why I
that's
always took his money and run.
Mhm.
I figured
So
if it wasn't in his pocket, maybe he'd stop, but it
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
work out that way.
No, it didn't. Now, after you got out of prison, I think that you did something remarkable that just still blows my mind. And it all
Samantha
started,
started it.
yes, Samantha started it. So tell us about that.
Samantha brought Derek home, and Derek was in a bad place. I
He
won't
was
get
a
in.
he was a friend of Samantha's, and when they went
Yeah, she
going
went
to
to
school
school
together.
with him.
Mhm.
And sorry, can I have 1 second?
Sure.
I'm about to lose my. Oh, Derek and her went to school together, and Derek was in a bad situation. And I took him. I went through the federal court. I went through my PO. I did everything step by step, and I started with him. And from him, it just grew. Then I
So
had
you took Derek into your home
yes,
as a foster child, but you actually
yes,
ended up adopting him. Is that
yes.
correct?
Derek's my
Yes.
son.
Yes. And Derek went on to become a nurse. I mean,
Yeah, he
you
got
took
his
him
lawyer.
from, not having a safe place to actually
Yeah,
coming into a loving home and going to college and becoming a
yeah,
nurse.
yeah.
And
He's
you
and
made
he
such a
works.
difference in his life.
I hope so. I
And
know I did. He still
you did.
calls me mom.
Yes, you did. But you didn't stop with Derek.
No.
So tell us about how many others you brought
Oh
into your
my
home.
goodness. After Derek, we got Lamanya and Dylan and Blake, and we got Tierra and Aaron and Carly and Caroline and Randy, Carly's twin, and we just there's
You
been
just
so many. I
had such an open house. So
yeah.
essentially what you did is you took children whose parents were incarcerated
Yes.
or
Teenagers. They were not children.
they were all, oh, that's right. They were all teenagers
They
in
were
high
14
school.
and up. Yes.
Yes. And you took them into your home and you gave
Yes.
them a safe place to live and you raised them as if they were your children,
Yes.
which is just the most beautiful thing. And I think you told me that you refused to do it through the foster care system. And tell me why that was.
I didn't. This was my way of paying back.
Yeah. And you told me that you didn't want to do it through the foster care system because they would pay you to be a foster parent.
Right. And I didn't deserve that.
You didn't want to take money for doing
No.
God's work. That's what you told me.
I didn't deserve it. The kids, I gave them, I worked and I gave them everything I could. And if they got, on their own, as they got a little older, if they got some help, then I was supportive of that also. And they had to do what they had to do.
Yeah. And you worked with your federal judge to officially
Yes.
take those kids into your home,
Yes,
which kept
yes,
you
I
from
did.
having to go through the foster system. In fact, I think the judge would call you and recommend children that were needing homes that he was aware
Sometimes,
of.
yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them, I was already at capacity because it's just was like a snowball effect. And every time one would show up and then, everything would be okay and he'd go home with his parents or something, or he would just grow up and move on. Well, then I don't know. I never ceased to have children. Never.
Yeah.
I had them
Yeah.
everywhere here.
And still, when I was last in Kansas City and came to visit you, you had one or two of them, that had
I
dropped
still
in.
had, I
Yeah.
had Aaron, Sean, and Tiara still.
Yes, they were still
But
living there. Right.
Aaron
But
got his apprenticeship for plumbing, and he finished that. Now he's full-fledged plumber. And Sean moved to Colorado. He's a snowboard instructor.
Oh, wow. What a
He's
fun
very,
job.
very, yes. The boys, they taught roller skating, and they also did community work with other kids. And excuse me, one more second here.
Okay.
And Tiara, she's a photographer, and she's got her art degree. She does kind of like what you do, but without the PhD. She builds websites.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't quite have a PhD, but that sounds kind of fun. I might have to get one.
It's a goal. I
Yeah.
don't ever see you giving up.
No, I won't. That's not in my blood.
No.
So
mine either.
No. So tell me what it's like, the kind of friendships that you made with women in prison.
Oh,
How did that impact your life?
I never had female friends until I went there.
I didn't either, Lisa.
And now I love all my girls. I mean, I'm closest with you, but Lauren and just so many that I still talk to. So many. And we try to hold each other up and give each other comfort. And it's been the best.
It has been. And, I think I found that I learned the most and grew the most when I was in the darkest of places. But when I was in the darkest of places, I had other women like you and Lisa and Faith and Regina who also held me up on the days I was most down. And I could hold them up on the days they were most down. And I think all of you women knew my deepest, darkest secrets that I never even knew myself,
You
was such a bond.
I can say the same thing, because there's things that when you're in there that you do that, and I don't know, I just had so much, like all the classes I taught in there. I had the biggest stack of awards when I left. And
you taught people to drive a forklift, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah,
I did. I taught that class in prison, and I taught every art and craft class there was.
Yeah, I have a whole box full of tatted snowflakes that are beaded that you sent to me. And that's the only decorations I put on my Christmas tree. I just fill my Christmas tree with your snowflakes. So
my grandkids, I'm teaching my granddaughter to knit. She's 9.
Yeah.
And she thinks if she puts 3 rows on there, is this hat almost done? Tonight is something. And then I taught her how to make scrunchies. And so she's made at least 2 dozen of them. Everybody, all her friends at school have the same one. It's so.
Yeah. It's great to pass crafts along to grandkids.
Well, I did it in prison for something to do. It kept my mind occupied. And and I made so many friends. And Miss Sarah and Lisa are the only 2 that have passed since I've come home. That I was really sad to lose Miss Sarah, because she passed. She did 20 years, and she was in her late 80s, and she passed 6 days after getting home.
Oh my gosh!
So she got 6 beautiful days. She had a huge family, a big, beautiful family. So she got 6 beautiful days with them.
Yeah,
so that was great.
That was better than not making it out at all. Okay.
Yeah. And then Miss Sarah and
Lisa.
Oh yeah, Lisa passed.
The heartbreaking Lisa.
It was. And she wrote me letters, and you and I had talked about it, but I'd let her live in her little bubble. I did. I couldn't pop it for her.
No.
It was already too late.
She needed something. Yeah.
She did.
Yeah. Lisa was just a heartbreaking story. And I know you and I cried through that
Oh, yeah.
for weeks.
Still
But
do.
yeah, yeah.
I came
it's,
across an envelope of her letters the other day, and where I had sent her a bunch of craft patterns and bought her books and things. And I run across her letters, and I said, "I've been looking for these for Toby."
Yes, that's right. That's right. I'll have to get them from you.
Well, remind me, because my memory's
Okay.
terrible, but they're in my craft bag
Okay.
where I keep all my patterns.
Yeah.
And I had run across them, and they were letters to Sam, and she wrote, and she made things for Sam all the time, and she wrote Sam letters, and I'll never, unless it's new, they'll never be posted anywhere.
Yeah.
Only Toby would treat them with respect.
Yeah. Yeah. Lisa truly was a gem. And I feel blessed that we got to know her because I feel like the Lisa that you and I knew was the real Lisa that wasn't stressed out from things out in the world. And she could be herself.
Her life is so
the horror of her childhood. That's right. That's right. It was just terrible. And I think prison was a good place for her. And she made friends. At the time, yes.
The outcome was wrong, and she was in denial there at the end, but I thought, okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
Whatever gets you to get you
through the next day. Yeah. That truly was a tough time.
It was.
Well, Lisa, go ahead.
I wish we could have been there, but that was.
I wish we could have been there too, but she didn't want us there.
And it's okay.
Which was truly, one of her last acts of love, I think, to keep her family and friends away, because she knew how hard it would be for all of us. But
it was hard.
You and I would have been there if we could have. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yeah. That was tough. So, for those of our listeners, the Lisa that we're talking to was one of our best friends, Lisa and I. Lisa, my guest here, which I call George in my book.
Yeah.
But, and
been called George my whole life.
Yes, you have. You have. But our friend Lisa was executed in January of 2021. So, and that was a tough experience for all of us, her children, her family, her friends. It was really a hard experience.
Yeah.
So,
but like you said, we knew the different Lisa. We didn't know that Lisa.
We didn't know the Lisa who committed the crime.
That's true.
The Lisa we knew was so loving and so giving and so sweet and so generous.
Yeah.
She might only have one bar of soap, but if you needed a bar of soap, she'd give you hers in a heartbeat.
Yeah. All day long. And she kept people at arm's length because everyone tried to
take advantage of knowing her.
Of her situation. And
Yeah,
you know what I was talking about. Thank
you.
It was hard for her. It was hard for us also.
Yes,
I remember sitting in we were sitting in the room where we did our quilting and stuff, and you had watched John on TV, and we all sat and held hands.
Yes.
It got you through it.
Yeah, that was during the time when I was going to trial and John Maynard was going to trial. And, and we were both on the TV all the time. And it was a difficult time for me. It really was.
I know. Yeah. But when we were in our room, we didn't live in that world.
No.
We didn't. We were about healing and talking and mending each other. And that's just how that went.
And healing.
Yeah,
a lot
of
definitely
healing. All of us. I mean, I had just lost Bruce, and you had lost your father, and Lisa just was constant turmoil.
Yeah.
I was really happy when she finally got to meet her father. That was exciting for her, and we enjoyed that. I mean, there were some good things in there. I know we had a million laughs.
Yes, we did.
And then at rest, we'd lay out in the grass and look at the sky.
You remember the time we walked around the track and it had been raining, and I started picking up the worms off the sidewalk so they wouldn't drown. And people said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, let's save the worms." And everybody was picking up the worms. And the officer in the yard got a call on her walkie-talkie, and from the Central Control Unit, they said, "What are they doing?" And she said, picking up worms.
Miss
And they were
Taylor.
like, yes, they were like, okay, because they could see us all on the camera leaning down and
Yes.
picking stuff up and putting it in the grass. And I remember another time we made crowns out of clover, and we all were wearing
Yep.
clover crowns. Yeah.
Then when we
It
were
was-
quilting, and we took the chalk rock and we drew out our quilt designs.
Yes. Yes.
Underneath the basketball.
On the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. I remember
Trying to
that
figure out
too.
designs on how to quilt this or that.
Uh-huh.
We
Yeah.
had fun though.
We did have fun.
We made the
found some
best
good
of
times in there. We did.
the worst we had. And
That's right.
like I said, I've never had female friends, and I do now.
Yes, I do too. And you are one of them for
And
sure.
you're mine too.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
blessed.
I am too. I am too. I love you, Lisa. And
I love you too,
I'm
babe.
so glad you're in my life. And I'll be back with you in just a moment.
Okay.
So is there one? Oh, but before I go, let me ask you, is there one question you wish I'd asked you that we didn't talk about? Is there something else you'd like to share?
I can't think of anything. I mean,
Okay. I think we covered quite a lot.
yeah. I mean, giving back to the community and helping kids in need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't donate to anything. I donate to the school for a child that needs lunch.
Mm-hmm.
That's behind.
Yeah, kids need our help so much.
They
And there's
do.
so many of
And
them out
there's
there that
just-
are hurting.
That is true. That is true. I mean, because they all the time, I just didn't have the room. I only have 5-bedroom home, and I put 2 kids in each room, and I had, they came and went, like some of them's parents passed away and their mother was an alcoholic. And so they had to wait for their father to show up from another state to get them and stuff like that. But the short time they were with me, they still come and see me. They call me on Mother's Day.
Yes. They
It is
consider
so
you a
rewarding
mother.
in
and
ways
it's
like
just
that.
beautiful. Yeah, I think I've met like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
So, which is
I'm
just
sure you
beautiful.
have.
Yeah, maybe even more. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They come and go here.
Yes, they do. But they always have a place to call home.
That's
So
right.
that's-
As long as
that's
I'm
just-
breathing.
That's right. That's what the world's
They
about.
all came together and took care of me when I was doing really, really poorly in my health. And they still come and check on me. Hey, Mom, you need me to do anything? No, I'm pretty okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's blessed to be loved like that.
Yeah. Those kids are my life, right? Other than my dog and you, those kids,
Yeah.
those kids are third.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
my little
beautiful.
Arlo needs me.
Yes, he certainly does. He certainly does. And dogs make the world a better place. Don't
Oh,
they?
yeah. That's
Yeah,
my
they
baby.
sure do.
He loves me. He don't care what I do.
That's right. He was gone for like 3 weeks and
Yes.
trying to chase him around through the woods. And
Yes.
I honestly thought we're never going to see that dog again. But lo and behold, you went out in the woods
Toby, I
and
had
he
given
came
up.
to you.
And
Yeah.
when she called the Kansas City, they're called KC Trappers. And Stephanie Rogers, most beautiful person I've ever met. She's an RN and she works 12-hour shifts and then goes out and finds people's animals for them.
Oh, wow.
And she does it purely on donations. And when she called and said she had eyes on Arlo, I'm like, okay, here I come. And I crawled in through the woods and I sat on the ground and tried to get him to come to me. And he was terrified. He was so scared.
He'd been
And-
gone for 3 weeks,
Yeah.
right? Out in the
Uh-huh.
woods and along the highway. And yeah,
He had
he's a
lost
terrified little
so
dog.
much weight. He hardly weighed anything. He was so skinny. He had pulled out of his harness. And I got up off the ground because Stephanie said, come on out and we'll put the cage up and we'll bait it and let him go to it. So I stood up off the ground and I walked. I said, okay, Arlo, Mama's going home. And he followed me. And I have MS. So I sat down real quick and he came to my arms and I picked him up and away we went.
And off you went back home. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a beautiful day. I remember that so
Oh, yeah.
well. Yeah.
That's my baby.
Dogs do make the world a better place.
They do. I love my cat. I put my cat to sleep because he had cancer. So I love my fat man too.
Yeah. Yeah. Pets make the world go round.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lisa, so much for sharing
Thank
with
you,
us and being
Toby.
on the podcast, and I'll be right back with you.
Okay.
Remember, none of us is our worst mistake. We all have so much more to offer the world, and those so-called mistakes are blessed opportunities to learn and grow. Next week, we'll continue to bring you inspiring stories by people who've identified a need for change and are working to make a difference in the world. Subscribe to our Patreon channel, Fierce Conversations, for special access and behind-the-scenes info. Go to patreon.com/Fierce Conversations or click on the link in the show notes. 10% of the Patreon proceeds are used to provide workbooks to women in prison. The show notes also provide a link to purchase my book, Living with Conviction, and I'm going to add a link to Casey Trapper's website so that you can make a donation in Lisa's name. In my memoir, Living with Conviction, I recount a conversation I had in prison where my friend Lisa, the very one we're talking to in this episode, told me, "In here, we can talk about all the hard things. In fact, I think we must, and so we shall." This is Fierce Conversations with Toby. Until next time.